Right then, there's so much to get into today, strap yourselves in.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well, mate. As always, genuinely do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. Lots to get into. I want to cite some stuff Ben Jacobs said on the London is Blue podcast. Renato Vega's completed his medical. Cole Palmer, Gallagher, Cucurella is in a cup final, so is Enzo Fernandez. And an article from Twomey about how Chelsea will line up defensively, which is interesting, of course, on The Athletic. So we can learn a little bit about that together, you and I. So thank you for joining me. Lots to get into, like I keep saying, so I want to get going quickly. If you want to support the content, please do consider doing so by liking and subscribing. We've hit over 185 K now. I think we're near 186, road to 200,000 subscribers. That's immense. Quickly though, congratulations to, obviously Enzo Fernandez is in the Copa America final, looking like a deep line playmaker now, which is very exciting. We've spoken about that recently. Cucurella qualified, of course, and now Conor Gallagher and Cole Palmer have as well for the Euro 2024 final. Both not starters, frustratingly, and of course Cole Palmer got the match-winning assist for England off the bench, and he has been useful, Cole Palmer, and of course Gallagher is very much a closer, isn't he? That's what he's being utilised as at the moment. So a big congratulations to them both. What a goal from Watkins. If you want my full reaction to that, of course I do videos on Ding Football Yannick, which is non-Chelsea content. You might dig that. It's me, yours truly, reacting to non-Chelsea games, transfers, and big stuff like that. So do go check it out on YouTube, man. Sweet, let's get into it. Alright, we've given a congratulations to Cole. Just a quick look at this as well. This is the Chelsea kit, the home kit for the upcoming season. Ding! I don't know, man. I think the away kit's nice. This is the home kit, of course. Obviously, the version that this guy is wearing here isn't going to be like the Vaporwave, isn't it? The sort of fitted one. This is the sort of loose hanging one, which is not the version that the players will be wearing. I must say, I think this is one of the rare instances of a kit that will look nicer with a sponsor. I think it needs that thing in the middle to make that make sense. Whereas the kits of the season just finished, I think they look nice without the sponsor. This, I'm not so sure. I think it looks a bit weird without a sponsor. It's not my favourite kit in the world, but like always, once you see the proper matchday kits on the players, you can only really reserve judgment until that moment, you know? So, what do you think of the kits, guys? Comment down below and let me know your thoughts on that one. Right, so of course, Renato Vega, or Viega, however you want to pronounce it, I'm not sure the pronunciation, has completed his medical for Chelsea. Yesterday, he completed his medical, the second part. The contract will be signed today. It's a deal valid until 2032. 8-year deal. I mean, he's 20 years old, so one of the younger ones. It is interesting. I still don't quite understand the structure, because younger players like, you know, Mark Yu got a 5-year deal, and slightly older players got a 6, 7, 8-year deal, and then you got players that, you know, Caleb Wiley got a 7-year deal. Like, what's the plan here? I mean, they've obviously got some method to the madness. There's obviously like a timeline structure for certain profiles of players, and long-term planning and financial stuff. Obviously, they can only be amortized now over 5 years. I don't quite understand it, but I'm guessing there is a structure here. It's an £11.5 million move, this, for Renato Vega, and Chelsea think they are getting an excellent player here. Yes, he's going to be assessed in pre-season, and there's a small chance he'll go on loan, but for the moment, he looks like he could be a first-team player. He's that perfect profile to play at left back. I'll be reiterating some stuff in a moment that Ben Jacobs said on the London is Blue podcast, but he also spoke about Renato Vega, saying that, yeah, this guy looks like he's the Maresca sort of fullback, and actually it's more indication that out of the two fullbacks, it's the left-sided fullback that will be doing the inverting into midfield, which is a shame because I do still think that Reece James would be perfect for that role as a player who's played well in midfield before, and maybe it would save his legs because we all want Reece James to just stay fit, of course. Yeah, really interesting, but Cucurella and Vega look like they're the perfect profiles to invert. I was informed, I learned rather from listening to that pod that Chilwell has played in midfield before, but I think he meant like Ben Jacobs, that is, in a 4-4-2, as in like this, on the left side of the second bank of four, which isn't quite the same, but that will be announced possibly today, tomorrow. One would imagine. Renato Vega sick for fifth signing. And interesting as well, Caleb Wiley, the Atlanta United fullback that's being signed to be sent to Strasbourg. He's not being signed by Blueco. He's being signed by Chelsea and sent on loan to Strasbourg. And he's also been given a long-term contract, 8.5 million, very, very cheap. And they consider him an amazing prospect, an amazing deal, one of the best players in MLS. So we'll see what happens there. Let's keep the train going. Choo-choo. So yes, to cite some stuff that Jacob said on the London is Blue podcast. Firstly, I want to talk about the Club World Cup because this is really interesting. This is a huge target for for Enzo Maresca and Chelsea, of course, moving into next season, or this season that's coming. It's annexed at the end of the season in the summer. It is exciting. It's a new format. It's like more of a tournament-y format where you got do you have group stages? I don't know. I can't remember. But still, there's a bunch of teams, including the likes of Man City and other sort of, Real Madrid and this, that, and the other. And apparently, this is not me saying this, so if this is incorrect, don't come at me and all this kind of stuff. But Jacob said for the Club World Cup, and he says roughly to his credit, or, as a disclaimer, he says for just being in the Club World Cup, you get £40 million, which is massive as a competition, because this is just... I don't think this is taking into account additional sponsorship revenue, this, that, and the other, and brand awareness and all that other stuff that people talk about. Just for being in it, you get 40 million. And if you win it, which, by the way, will be a legitimate target for Chelsea, they'll feel that they can win it, it triples. And if you say, do the math, the simple math, that is £120 million, which is... a massive part. I still don't understand this, so you must forgive me here. I try and be as informative and factual as possible, but I'm very much regurgitating what a journalist has said here. I quickly Googled the winnings of the Champions League. It's $20 million, which is about £16 million. So it's very hard to say the Champions League win, you get 16 million quid, but you get 120 for the Club World Cup. I think as well, there's a structure with the Champions League where you get a share of revenue on top of that base thing. So you make a lot of money, of course. And of course, it's the TV deals, the TV money that you get from the Champions League as well. So I don't know how it's structured, but what we have learned from this is that the Club World Cup pays a surprisingly large amount of money, and with the teams that you're coming up against, your Man Cities, your Real Madrids, it's a prestigious competition that Chelsea are targeting to win, man. Alright, also we got final bit from Jacobs here on the London is Blue podcast. Shout out London is Blue and them boys. He spoke about Gallagher and Samu Amorodorian, Connor, right? So we don't know, he's still with England. He wants to stay with Chelsea, but also he's mindful if he turns up, has a conversation with Enzo Maresca, the new Chelsea coach, and thinks, okay, he doesn't really fancy my profile here. There's going to be a few players playing in front of me. He might think, okay, I've got to make a decision and leave. So it's not, it's not for certain one way or another. So Tottenham have got the longest standing interest. Would you want to go to Tottenham as a diehard Chelsea fan? Maybe, I'm not sure. Obviously, all his family are Chelsea fans. I'm not sure how happy they'd be about that. But ultimately, you want a career above everything, right? Now, Tottenham have made the most significant bid, or registered the most significant interest in terms of financial investment. That's 35 to 40 million quid for Conor Gallagher with 12 months left on his deal, which is, serious money. Tottenham make a lot of money, by the way, in the Premier League and with their stadium and all that kind of stuff. They generate a lot of revenue. So you say 40 million, if Tottenham went to 40 million, that is a significant fee. It is. But Chelsea have waved it away. Now, Aston Villa, who we think might be a really good destination for Connor. It's not going to Tottenham. They're a well-coached team under Unai. They're in the Champions League now. It's hard to determine whether they'll be in the Champions League in the long run, and they do have financial problems themselves. They do want Gallagher. They are interested. They haven't put a bid in, but they do want to sell the likes of John Duran if they can get 20 million for him. Well, I think Chelsea's interest have cooled, but say somewhere else, then they might come in for Connor. He might be interested. Now, of course, another one which is really interesting is the third and the other big hitter that are genuinely interested are Atletico Madrid. I've said this many times on the channel. He screams Simeone to me, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but like I can understand why Diego Simeone would love Conor Gallagher, right? For his strengths, right? But they've apparently, reportedly, says Jacobs, made a informal offer of about £20 million plus add-ons. Now, Chelsea are obviously going to wave this away. Both Atletico and Chelsea probably recognise that we would prefer to sell them abroad if we could. We've got no problem selling to rivals under this new ownership. Havertz, Arsenal, Mount, United, Kovacic, Man City. We will do it. Do you know what I mean? But you have to imagine like there'll still be that benefit of selling what you deem is really high value, production value player out of the league or out of your area of the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So yes, and then obviously the big talking point with this as well is Samu as well. So Samu, the young striker, Chelsea have made, for me, massive bids for this guy. He was on loan. Obviously he's owned by Atletico Madrid, but he went on loan last season. Sort of did all right, not great, but he's very much a sort of John Duran in terms of profile, and they're looking at him like, oh yeah, he theoretically suits this idea rather than looking at his goal scoring and his numbers. Kind of a little bit like Man United spending, 80 million on Rasmus Højlund. Do you know what I mean? It's more like we like the idea rather than what's actually being produced at the moment. So Chelsea have made like 35, even reported up to 45 million euro bids for Samu, which blows my mind a little bit. Of course, a few weeks back, we looked at his numbers here on the channel. I presented some stats, and his finishing stats are very strong. Even if he didn't score a lot of goals. But 35 to 45 million quid for a profile of this guy when we've got loads of other young strikers, really, like, I would have rather a 20 million John Duran, do you know what I mean? But this is the mind-blowing bit that Jacobs reports, that they don't want to sell him unless it's this figure or above. 60 million! And that is very much like a wave you away. Like, no, we like the player, we're planning for him, we're not planning to sell him, we don't need to sell him. Unless you say 60 million, which is obviously silly, sort of thing. You know, for me, 45 million bids is silly. Unless, you know, the people at Chelsea that know more about football than I know more about football than I, then fair enough. But from a layman, like just a fan, I look at that and go, chicken oriental, mate. And of course, well, not of course, but there is additional detail here. Whether he's just changed agent to his mum or with his mum, something like that. And the previous agent had a deal on the table that Atletico Madrid were pretty certain he was going to sign, and that was with a release clause of 120 million pounds or euros, regardless, a significant fee. And should he sign that, they would have sort of consider the matter dealt with and done. So there is your transfer updates. Let me know what you think about that. We are going to jump over now to the Athletic and learn a little bit about this defence. Because I am interested, and Turumi's been working on this. So we're going to jump in, read together, and hopefully learn some intel. Oh, let's go. Balance is the state that all coaches strive for in their teams, or for their teams to reach. And it's proved elusive for Pochettino at Chelsea last season. Of course, during his sole season as Chelsea head coach, Poch revived an attack that had slumped to a historic low under predecessors Thomas Tuchel and Graham Potter. With 77 goals in their 38 Premier League matches, Chelsea had the division's 5th most prolific attack. I felt more than 5th. I thought we scored more than that. Still strong though. Top 5 for goals is good. At times they played thrillingly incisive football and scored at a sufficient rate to be on the fringes of the Champions League qualification picture, with of course 5 straight wins in a row at the end. Yeah, but we never really looked... I mean, it was a great run of form, but we never really imposed ourselves in terms of those games feeling like we've just got it in the bag, you know? But that did not then, of course, earn them a place in the blue ribboned club competition of UEFA Champions League, nor the second tier, the Europa League, because Chelsea's attacking improvement came at the cost of their worst defensive campaign since the Premier League era began in the early 1990s. 63 goals conceded, the 9th most in the division. Chelsea made cheap errors, suffered communication breakdowns, overcommitted to the attack, and were too easy to carve open in transition. All very true. New head coach Enzo Maresca has not been hired as Pochettino's replacement because he is a defensive specialist. His tactical philosophy is similar to Pep Guardiola's approach, having worked under him, of course, at Man City in 2 separate spells over the past 4 years, and he prioritizes defending with possession. Essentially, ladies and gentlemen, this is me talking, a Maurizio Sarri ball ting. Let's be honest. But how the backline is structured in different phases of the game is vital to the integrity of a system and will make new demands of the defenders at his disposal. Those demands will likely shake up the West London's club's defensive hierarchy, and here's a closer look at how the team might play out. Yes, so of course, so many questions. This is me, not Toumi. So many questions right now. Who's going to start? Who's going to play? Everyone's got their favourites, and it's subject to change, I think. There is an idea that Maresca will find his preferred and, inverted commas, strongest 11 and stick to it, because he's not going to be, all right, well, we're coming up against this opponent, let's stick Gallagher in here and play with a back three. He's not that guy. He's going to be like, my football's the best, we just find a way to play my football the best it can be played, and therefore we're going to have regulars. It'd be very interesting to see that, right? Maresca's favourite starting formation at Leicester managers was a 4-3-3, but the bulk of their championship matches, they were arranged in more of a 3-2-4-1 shape. Pereira was the nominal right back, and he shifted infield at the base of midfield alongside Harry Winks, giving the 3 remaining defenders another forward passing option, and freeing up the 2 attacking midfielders. Of course, the left-handed side was Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, who's followed Maresca to Chelsea, to push higher into the attacking half spaces. That's what you needed to do, guys. You need to play and combine and occupy those half spaces in the final third to score goals around the defenders. It's tactics. One aim of this tactic was to give Leicester numerical superiority in the middle of the pitch, offering a greater control in possession and more options to progress the ball upfield. Another was to better equip the team to defend on counter-attacks, with 2 players holding their positions in the midfield to protect those 3 defenders. It's very much Thomas Tuchel, isn't it? He had the double 6 in front of the back 3, defending with a sort of block 5 and then a wide 5 in attack. So it's kind of similar in many ways. Maresca would even instruct Pereira or Hamza Traoré when he was absent to hold the midfield position when Leicester lost the ball in order to keep the team in a better shape to press high and quickly win the ball back. Only if the opposition evaded the initial press and kept the ball did Pereira turn to his right back post, which was given. Yes, and Leicester enjoyed loads of possession with that as well. Just want to say as well, we were so vulnerable on transition on counter-attacks under Poch. It was often like a chasm in midfield, and for a long time, and certainly the initial part of the season, it was Caicedo left in like a canyon of space by himself and just the opposition running past him. So that sounds good to me. Chelsea will surely look similar in this upcoming season. The first consequence will be that the fullbacks, who will no longer be called upon to provide attacking threat with overlapping or underlapping runs. Instead, one will stay back to remain as part of the 3-man defence, while the other pushes into central midfield. That is interesting, isn't it? They are not at all going to get any width from the fullbacks. That the one's just going to stay in, tuck in as a centre back, and one's going to invert as a midfielder. They're literally just going to be doing this, which is interesting. Last season, Maresca always inverted his right back into midfield, but there's already signs that he at least wants the option of doing the same with the left back. Of course, Renato Vega, we've spoken, is perfect for that. And of course, Marc Cucurella has this similar positional flexibility, which we saw under Poch. Deploying Cucurella in a 3-man defence is dicier since his small stature. Of course, he's not very tall. He's 5'8". Makes him a target for opponents to exploit the back post crosses. Levi Colwill at almost 6'2" is far better aerially to do that. Of course, by the way, Renato Vega is very tall, and people are speculating that's why we signed him. I don't know if Renato is going to start as a Chelsea player anytime soon. But who knows, stranger things have happened. The odd man out here, of course, looks like Ben Chilwell, who's more conventional as a up-and-down dynamic fullback. This is me paraphrasing him. Reece James might be Maresca's best choice to invert into the base of midfield. Of course, he played in midfield in Wigan. He saved them from relegation in the Championship. Was given the captain's armband as a teenager. He's played in midfield, and it might save his legs. Even if James is Maresca's first choice for the role, he will need to explore alternatives in the upcoming pre-season. Partly because of the 24-year-old's lengthy injury record. Yes, we do worry about Reece James. Partly because he will miss the first 3 games. I forgot about this. He's gonna miss the first 3 Premier League games due to a suspension. Well, that's it, isn't it? So Gusto surely on the right, and then Cucurella inverting. But the thing is, if Gusto is a dynamic up and down fullback as well, because maybe what do you play Disasi, and he's the right back that tucks into a right centre back. Like off the bat, if you think about it, if the right back's going to be a right centre back of a 3, Disasi's he's actually played right back for Poch, and he's a centre back. So maybe Disasi actually off the back, bat is the guy. This is interesting. Gusto also possesses the technical quality and to potentially adapt to the role, having played a number 10 for much of his career. All he means is in like playing in the midfield. Okay, so but that's still playing as a number 10 inverting, which is really interesting from Gusto because to me seems like he used to be a winger by looking at him, let alone not a number 10. But does he have that robustness? I'm not so sure with Gusto. Maybe I'm wrong. The midfield defender in Maresca's back 3 is a key player. Of course, Thiago Silva's gone. We've got loads of people. Benoit Badiashile, Disasi. Tosin, of course, was assigned as a free agent from Fulham, in part for his comfort level on the ball. Also, he's very tall, Tosin, and he's a leader. For those of you who have watched those training videos, the way he talks, he's got great mentality. And of course, Chalobah, who might be for sale, has a lot of defensive. He's played a lot in defensive midfield, especially when he was at Ligue 1 on loan before he made his breakthrough at Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel. And of course, it goes on to Wesley Fofana, my man. Big talk about goalkeeper who's going to play. Rob Sanchez, Georgi Petrovic. Sanchez is expected to begin in the coming season in the team and produce stretches of solid distribution during the previous one. I don't know, man. Personally, I'm not convinced on Rob Sanchez. But there were also enough slow decisions and passing errors to make Chelsea fans very nervous. Of course, Pochettino lost faith in Sanchez, replaced him with Petrovic, who took fewer risks on the ball and turned over possession with long kicks more frequently as well. He was a safer bet, but he's not like a sexy passer. I do worry the fact how we're planning with Rob Sanchez, but I'm open to accepting him. Look, there's much more here in this article. It's a great insight from Toomey. It's obviously behind a paywall, so I don't want to read it all. All right. Who do you think is going to start for Chelsea? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. In fact, comment on everything that I've spoken about in today's video. And do keep it locked, because I will be back as soon as news breaks. And I want you guys to be here with me for my reaction. So thank you for your support as always. And I will see you back here soon, hopefully. Peace.